right?
Hmm.
And so it's that idea, and they've done studies on this with kids who they'll have a buffet, and it's all real food, no sugar, refined sugars, and they start to see that they will selectively pick what they need. As soon as you throw in refined foods, as you throw in processed foods, all that goes out, because it becomes into food addictions and how it stimulates dopamine and all those other things in our body. So we can kind of take that off, and it's not going to happen tomorrow, but that's where it happens, where by definition, with weight loss and how our body should be, the weight loss should happen by default.
Welcome to the From Within podcast with Ben Osterveld. Hey guys, Ben here from the podcast From Within. I've got a friend of mine for the second time back on the show, Dr. Scott. Is it Jurica?
Close, Jurica. Yeah, you're good. That sounded better
accent.
Though.
Yeah,
maybe I should do that.
I know. Like I tried working an accent that just made me look down, but I think people with accents, they have the best. Like people with accents, guaranteed win bidder. Like a Spanish accent. I guess it depends on the accent, but you got like a Spanish accent or something like hello. I don't know. Like, Jurica.
I like that. I'll have to play around with that.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for coming back on the show, Scott. I was stoked to have you back. You were on episode 36. For anyone listening, then go back and listen to another episode with Scott. We could probably do 5 or 10 episodes. We are very similar minded. We have very similar values when it comes to human growth, development. Obviously, Scott is a doctor. He is you've got a bunch of stuff, right? So when it comes to a wellness consultant, a master's in human nutrition, chiropractic, kinesiologist, it's like you've got this well-rounded view, and it's very cool. That all the learning that you've done, but I think mix that with the experiences that you're having makes it a massive asset for people that end up using you and consult with you. He has offices in New York. Do you still have your New York office there? Or
I haven't gone in a while. I've been doing mainly virtual with them, but it's still available. Yeah.
And then also, where are you at right now?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. And I met Scott. I was on a retreat. And I met him. He was flown in as a consultant and as I think a participant in some level. But
Philip didn't really tell me that until I got there. But it was
I know,
good.
yeah, you're here to help, and it's your time for your session.
Exactly, exactly.
But it was cool. It was an instant connection. I was like, this guy is legit. We ended up going to U2 concert. Same guy connection, Philip's connection to go watching that. What do you call it? Box seats. Just absolutely cool.
That was fun
in LA. But yeah, man, I just wanted to bring you back on because some of the area, like I work with a lot of people in their emotional state and in their business and everything. And you have such value when it comes to like the body mixed with the mind. But before we get into that, why don't we, for the people that didn't watch the other episode, why don't we go into who you are? Tell me a little bit about where you came from, some of the things maybe you've overcome that's made you who you are today, so people can kind of get to know some details and kind of get the feel for you.
Sure. So, I mean, I come from a line of doctors. My great grandmother was a midwife. I still have her book on different remedies, which is really cool. And have both allopathic and holistic doctors in my practice, in my family. And I really got into this. Well, to be really honest, I don't even know if I shared this with you the first time. The first way I got into medicine in general was I was in school. And I mean, kid, like literally 3rd grade, something like that. And people were telling me, well, you're smart. You might as well be a doctor. That was, as silly as it sounds, it's like, okay, well, let me kind of look into it. And so I started looking into stuff and, just always did well in school. And a big thing that was going on with me is as I was going through all that, growing up and all I have a 2nd grader, 8-year-old right now, but I love watching him grow up, and I love where I grew up, but I don't want to do it again. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so I was an overweight child, made fun of a lot. Anybody who's listening has experienced it. It just sucks. It's just not right. And so, my mom ended up telling me when I was in 3rd grade that if I didn't lose weight, I'd die of a heart attack. My mom was quite the blunt person. So I'm kind of a hypochondriac. So that really motivated me to start looking at at my food. And I used food even at an early age for comfort because I was made fun of. It was my only friend. And so through that, I, started to get some speed under my legs and started to do some things. And I started getting into a lot of athletics. And through that combination of athletics and schooling, is really just kind of where it molded me. Grew up in Texas where football is pretty much everything. And so I learned a lot of discipline through that. And so, I went through that whole process of losing that weight and to losing the weight, but still have it in my heart as some confidence issues, going through school, and even being on top of my class, I was still, am I ever good enough kind of thing.
It's crazy.
And so as I was getting into pre-med, I actually had straight A's and I quit. I quit because I didn't think I could be as good as my cousin, who's just an absolute genius in my book, out here in Texas. And so I left and I told my parents, I don't ever want to be a doctor. I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to ever do anything. And circle around, going through a lot of soul searching and getting another degree in computer science. It's actually my bachelor's. Made a full circle to go back and decided on chiropractic school because I wanted to get my hands on people. I wanted to do that, and I didn't want to do a blood or surgery. I think there's an absolute time for it, and there's some amazing surgeons. There's amazing medicines that have been used. I just didn't want to that's just not where I resonated with. Mine was I want to do everything I possibly can with the patient and learn as much as I possibly can on every kind of realm, every kind of aspect of natural therapies. And you know what? If you need surgery, if you need these kind of things, you need medication, you're going to be sure as hell a lot healthier. You're going to recoup faster. You're going to do better. You're going to do all those things. And then we can kind of rebuild you and not make make the same thing where you might not have that kind of surgery or health issues again. So that's kind of how my philosophy was. And that's cool. how I came through and the more I learn, the more I don't know. People aren't in a petri dish, and so you get a human being in your office, and it's humbling. As soon as you walk into seeing a patient, think, oh, I know this one. I see the report. You're gonna get humbled really quickly, and so to always have that understanding of constant learning and always wanting to do the best possible naturally is really my philosophy.
It's really cool. Scott, it's cool. I was looking at your website. You actually put, for being a doctor and being who you are and the level of education you have, you could be an arrogant guy. And I love the fact that you're not. And I think that's why you are so successful as what you do. I think confidence and arrogance has a fine line as well. And self-belief and arrogance can have a fine line, and it's an interpretation as well, but in your heart. And I think looking at your website, you right out of the gate, one of the first things you say on your site, and I would think everyone needs to check out his website. We'll have the link in the show notes, but it just the about, it's just so real. It's so real. It is, man. It's one of the best about pages I've ever seen. It just talks right away.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like you said, look, I was overweight. I'm a real human too. What an awesome thing to do. And I think today that even from a strategy perspective, it's the 100% way to go. I think old school arrogance is just dead. I think it's dead and they're dying. The guys that don't know it are the guys that are still playing that game. Gotcha. I think we just really want to connect. I think that's what shows, right? And I think your story kind of creates that ability to connect with people. And I've seen that and it's really, really cool. So I actually appreciate putting yourself out there.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about, you hit a couple really interesting things. I think about right now, I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan. So right now, until I die, really. It's Edmonton Oilers hockey team. You know Wayne Gretzky?
Oh, he doesn't. At least that's the one thing I know about hockey.
I can always count on that. So Wayne Gretzky was the best of all times, but there's a new player in the Oilers got him. It's called Connor McDavid. And Connor McDavid is faster than anybody. He's supposed to be he's going to be the best player that's ever played for. He's probably not as statistical as Gretzky, but amazing superstar. What's crazy is we just found out that he was at the end of his season, he hurt his knee. and it was a torn MCL, but so he went to a surgeon. This just came out. It was all hidden.
Wow.
Went to a surgeon, they said, you need to seriously reconstruct this knee. It's really bad. He went to 2 or 3 places, and then they said surgery. Now, this guy's a $13 million a year player. And if Oilers haven't won in a long time, they need to sell tickets, and he wants to play, right? He wants to play. And so he kept looking for other solutions. And I don't know who he talked to, but he talked to someone, and they said, well, you can rehab it. You can heal it yourself. And that's what he did. And a documentary just came out, and he's at full speed on the ice. Like, he is lights out right now. And so it's the talk of the city that I'm in right now. And it makes me think of how you were saying surgery is needed. I almost felt a little hesitant towards surgery. I don't know if that's a misread, but he healed himself. Like, he's playing, and I don't know if there's a risk still for him. I don't know. No one will know, but it's really interesting to see that he took a non-surgery route, and it was a very, very bad tear. And it shouldn't have healed. So
it's, talk about, we're going to bring in stuff about the mind and the body and everything. They've actually done surgery. They've done studies where they've done actually on the knee. I think it was, I think it was an ACL, I believe.
I might even be, meniscus. It might be the meniscus. That's what, I think it was a meniscus. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Regardless, what was cool about it is the study was they had X many people. Let's just say there was 100 people. 50 people had the surgery. 50 people had the incision as if they did have the surgery. They weren't told they didn't have the surgery, but they didn't have it done. Okay. The people that didn't have the surgery got just as much better as the ones who didn't. So
they probably both did rehab because they both have to.
Of course. Yeah.
And they weren't.
But it was the mind. They went, oh, hey, look, I'm having surgery. I'm going to be better. So totally. There's that. There's also the mindset is I'm not going to have surgery. I'm going to be better. Now, it doesn't mean 100%. I'm not going to say never to do surgery. But it's outstanding, or especially coming from different medical professionals, and one of them being this one doctor said, no, you don't have to. You can rehab, and you can do that and get better. I mean, that's phenomenal. I love that story.
That is that's amazing. I actually heard that on Wayne Dyer talked about that exact same thing. The knee operation. Funny. I heard about that.
Funny.
And I love that. I think there's so much to it. Like, so much to it. I've seen a lot of healings and different things, and the body just heals. Like, we already have the ability, right? We already have that ability. It's just how much do we get in the way is what I think. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right.
So let's talk about overweight. That's a multi-billion dollar industry.
Yeah.
It's something I struggle with. I was picked on in school as well for being fat. It was really a lack of self-belief and confidence, to be honest. Yeah. Because there's a lot of fat people that don't get picked on. I think about it's weird. Like when we had this one cat that had no confidence, just scared all the time. And that's the one that the dogs would chase. And the dogs wouldn't chase any other ones. So I feel like in some role I had to own some of that. So when we're picked on and bullied, I feel like, in a weird way, I never wasn't shown any belief in myself. I was in a bad situation as a kid, or I compared myself, or whatever it was. I just feel like I didn't own me. Gotcha. And I feel like it was like that. But anyways, weight was a thing. Like I also emotionally ate because of my home and life was tough or whatever. So what are you running into right now? You deal with so many different people. What do you think this is going on regarding the weight? Can you help someone with helping them lose weight without working on their emotional side of their head?
I think in just what I've seen over the past, 15 or so years, I think it absolutely, your mind and not like this mindset, like, oh, you got to tough it out. That's not what I mean. But, exactly, but understanding and to understand where it is that what's going on with your body, to be honest, even understand why it is that you feel like you need to lose weight. People have come into my office thinking they need to lose weight. And I'm like, I'd be respectful because I'm not trying to say, oh, you don't, but I'm like, it's the why. Some people, they can be in perfect health and they're like, I've got this one little spot that, that I can't get rid of. And then there's also a whole level of who the hell said, what is the perfect weight and size and structure? I know, anyway?
Man. Oh my goodness.
That's a whole other thing because there's a great, it reminds me, I'll have to send you an article that was written about a lot about this, but I've had patients who by standards would be overweight, but they're some of the healthiest people that I know, and there's other people who you would think they look healthy, but they have no sex drive. They can't form a solid stool. I mean, I talk about everything, right? So, I mean, they can't poop well, they can't sleep well, but yet they've got 3% body fat and their physique looks perfect. But in their mind, they're depressed, they're suicidal, they can't, you know what I mean? So
I get it. It just kills me. That's what drives me.
To kind of pull back, even from the standpoint, like, the help and the weight, it really comes from the whole idea of really where we are, period. Like the aspect of absolutely why we eat. If there's an emotional component to it, that needs to be addressed. And I can just say it from personal, experience. And am I even 100%? No. And we talked about, last time when my uncle and brother died. And, you have those moments where you slip a little, and you gotta be great. You gotta give yourself grace. And so you gotta look from the standpoint of where your goals are, as far as, and I tell people, don't just say, oh, I want to lose weight. And because there are people that come in at 450 pounds. Okay, let's, but what is it that you want to do, and why do you want to do it? I want to do it because I want to be able to be around my family more. I want to be able to have kids. I want to be able to not be on 15 medications when I get older. So there's more of a perspective of just the why, because there's ways you can do it where you can lose the weight. And I've had patients do this, that all their focus is, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. They get there. Then they're like, crap, this is not, I don't have this euphoric,
so true,
thing. Now what? And what happens? They slide back, because that wasn't that end result didn't give them this, I'm, loved by everyone, I'm perfectly happy. And so to kind of slim everything down is to really focus on the aspect of nourishing your body, right? I mean, really just kind of change that thought process. And we were talking off, line about the, what is cold, what is hot, it really gets into, this whole component, but the aspect of looking at, to nourish your body, to, if patients do this, and this is one of the things I tell them, they want to lose weight, and I say, well, I don't want you to look at your scale for 3 months. I'm like, well, that kind of throws them off for everything, because the idea is to really kind of get back into, again, whether they do labs or not, you can look at stuff if they have sugar handling issues. I mean, we won't go too in depth, but let's just kind of say, from the standpoint, let's look, and there is some stuff that we need to address, metabolically. You can do that, but it's always the standpoint of peeling off those layers of one, that there's an emotional eating, and two, what the hell do we eat, right? We hear everything. So that's the whole standpoint of really kind of getting back to the, even though I call it the 200-year rule, right? It's like, if it's been around 200 years, the plants, the meats, the good fats, those kind of things, let's just kind of take that off, and let's just start there and really kind of work on nourishing our bodies to say, okay, what is it that we need? Why do we need it? Get rid of the whole thing of calorie, and the whole aspect of how calories even understood is a whole other, aspect.
That's interesting. Yeah. Like that's the core belief system is calories.
It really is.
So, so is that not true? Calories. Is that not true?
It's not about not true or true. I mean, you put 1,000 calories of cotton candy and 1,000 calories of, steak, right? They're going to burn completely differently in your body, but yet there are 1,000 calories each. So it's not just about that. People will argue, well, of course, I'm not going to eat that, but you've got to understand about nourishing. A lot of times people who have cravings are because they're not getting enough different minerals. They're not getting enough food. So it's like, I'm trying to eat so many of these certain things because I know I absolutely can't have something sweet when you can have something, whether it's the berries, whether it's whatever, you kind of look at everything from the standpoint of really even getting back to intuitive eating. And it's not this, again, it's another word you hear so much with, intuition or this or that. But when you,
I think it's just listening. I think intuition is just listening.
It is.
I think like we can spiritualize it. We can do whatever we want, but I think there's this little voice in us that tells us what to do in life. And I think if we can silence our head and get calm and just even take a second and check in, it's like, and I think that's where people pray, they meditate and everything. But I think most of the time, I think there's this intelligence that we have. I think so just like Absolutely. It is an overused word, but to simplify it, it's just listening.
to listen. And I love the word. It's just when people hear, they go, "Oh, right, he's going to talk about that again." And it's not. It's look back if anybody who's listening, and Ben, with you having all your kiddos, thinking about when they were young, before any kind of, especially like before my son started school, we had ultimate control over what he ate, right? And so it's funny when there's certain times where my son will love eating eggs, for instance, and then he won't want them at all.
Yeah, that's
for like a month.
Yeah, that's how
then all back again, he can't stop eating them, right? And so it's that idea, and they've done studies on this with kids who they'll have a buffet, and it's all real food, no sugar, refined sugars, and they start to see that they will selectively pick what they need. As soon as you throw in refined foods, as you throw in processed foods, all that goes out, because it becomes into food addictions and how it stimulates dopamine and all those other things in our body. So we can kind of take that off, and it's not going to happen tomorrow, but that's where it happens, where by definition, with weight loss and how our body should be, the weight loss should happen by default. If things are running right. Now, again, if you're doing these kind of things and doing where you're eating 200 years ago and things aren't happening, again, there's hormones, there's toxins, there's a lot of other reasons, but to kind of keep it simple. But you got
to do foundational work first, right? Like, I get that. Same thing I tell the people I'm mentoring and coaching. It's like I'm off. It's not working. I said, how's your eating? How's your sleep? How's your mental space? Let's get are you doing some exercises? Are you taking time away for yourself to recharge? Like, are you at a place where we can actually get a good reading on what's really going on? Is that similar?
Yep. Yeah. You got to, if I could have patients spend thousands on labs and on stuff, but if they hate their job, they are in a miserable relationship, they are going to eat crap food, and then I'll take all these supplements because I'm eating bad, or you're missing it. A lot of those things where the supplements can be important with the right ones based on certain things, but if you're, you said it perfectly, if you're not sleeping well, if you're not breathing well, if you're not having that space where I'm just going to go and I'm going to take this time off, and I'm going to have my spouse do whatever, or I'm going to take the weekend where I'm going to have my phone off and I'm not going to talk with anybody, so I can go paint, or I can go do something. It's all part of wellness. And it's interesting with weight loss. Sleep itself, there's so much research on it. If you don't sleep well, you're not going to lose weight. And so if you're having this fight or flight, holy crap, I'm stressed about losing weight, right? There's the whole, it's called cortisol, your stress hormone, that, versus other people that can be much more calm about it. And while it might not always be the easiest, but to try to enjoy the process, even though you might have been doing this for years, it's like, we just kind of just silence everything, and kind of give ourselves those chances to understand ourselves better, to understand, again, why it is that we're eating this way, why it is, why it is that we like this junk food. Do we not feel that we deserve to be healthy? And that's a big emotional thing, right? I don't think I should be. I don't think I'm worth it. So that it's one step, simple with the food to start with, and then it's the other part to get to those deeper levels.
You know what, Scott? It's funny, we're so similar, because like, I'm working with business owners, right? I'm helping with their businesses, but at the end of the day, I can't do anything unless their head's right. Like, at the end of the day, if they don't believe that they're worthy of being successful, they're gonna fuck it all up. If they don't believe that, if in their head they just can't see themselves winning, or if they have this negative viewpoint, or I don't believe anyone's gonna like me, like whatever these things are, you literally can't help them until they work on. It's like, I do like coaching businesses and creating these things. It's like, why am I even teaching anything other than just inner work? Because they can heal them. So they all know the answers. They're all pretty smart. Yeah. Like, it's just not working. I'm like, no, you're probably not working. I feel like more and more I'm seeing that it's like 90% in the business world is more mindset and soul and their self-belief, how they see the world, their filters, than any other tactics.
Yep. I love that you said, with that, and also you talk about that little voice inside, and then it really is, it has that connection with the mind and the soul, that it's like, if we give ourselves grace, that we don't have to change to be this ultimate amazing, whatever concept we want tomorrow.
Yeah,
we just
take
that one step. Like, okay, there's no way. I mean, to look, I mean, you look at other people you see and how they look or how they are as business. But if you just take that one step is
so good.
Just explode and be like, well, shit, I didn't do the other 4 things that Ben told me to do. But you did one of them, right?
So good. Right? See, what you're doing is mindset. Like, we're not celebrating that moment. We're not celebrating, like, it's, man, I understand this. I used to have a mentality of number 1 or nothing. And that was the same thing in a way where when you grow up and bullied and you go through this and you try to outperform just to be safe so no one judges you. And then all of a sudden I was just realized that, so that mentality had to be dismantled. You know what I mean? Like, you had to celebrate the 1%, the 2%, the 3%, or you never, ever will celebrate because you can't get number 1 all the time. It's pretty rare.
And even when you do, it's like, well, shit, that's not what I wanted. It doesn't feel like I thought it would feel like. And then what?
It's actually can add pressure because you got to maintain it.
Yep.
It's like, maybe if you do get the feeling, it's almost better that you get disappointed when you hit the mark, because then at least it's finished. The scary part is when you win, because then it's like, oh, this is amazing. Look at the results. And then you live to that standard and you die. Like, internally you die, relationships die, but you keep that standard.
That's a good point.
That's mindset stuff. I love that. I love that. Question for you is, working with even Philip McKernan, who's been my mentor for years, and he's always trying to get you to sit down and calm down and self-reflect. Like, I was born on fire. Like, dude, I can do a lot of stuff. Okay. Like, I feel like, and Philip's helped me, and I can't even speak about how much he's helped me, but the more I'm living and the more I'm just running my world, I realize I can do a lot of shit. And I feel like does everyone need 8 hours? Does everyone need to be at a standard of like I'm born with I think my brain is incredible. Like, I'm really smart, and I feel like I can utilize this. I feel like I'm grounded, but I can do a lot. And I almost feel like, it's like, how much stuff do you got on your plate? Well, don't ask me. You're going to think I'm nuts, but I'm jacked. And I always got to pay attention. I don't want to burn out and stuff, which I stop. I do retreats. I feel like I figured it out a little bit. Like, how dare I even think of figuring it out? It's a scary thing to even say.
You're always getting closer. I mean,
we're all closer. But is there a different standard for people? I ask selfishly because I think there's some people that are like, I feel like I'm a high performer. Like, is there a Ferrari and is there a Jeep? Like, or is there a standard?
I like how you said that, because I mean, this is where we, like you said, we can talk for hours about different things. That it's like, who even, just from the weight, right? Who came up with all these standards? And all these standards came from best understandings of research and even our ancestry and whatnot. So, some people I know, some of my patients, they cannot function well unless they have 9 hours. I have other ones who feel amazing and they're doing 6 hours. The big question that I tell, just going back into the, intuitive eating and stuff, is really monitoring how you feel. If you feel like,
great answer.
I'm loving great, then you may not. Now, if it's like, I'm feeling great, but I've got to have 15 cups of coffee at 2:00.
No.
Do you feel great? Right.
No.
So it really is. It's a self-evaluation.
Great answer.
Of yourself. Yeah.
And then we get into the human development work, which is, how honest am I with me? How honest am I or you? Like, with a story that I'm telling myself, oh, I'm a high performer, I'm a Ferrari, blah, 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 blah. But if I am gaining weight, if I am having hard times remembering things, if I have my relationships getting weakened, like, there's a reality.
I haven't seen my son in 3 months, but I
that's right. That's right. So I feel like some of the work needs to be, how honest are you with you, and that, or else you'll never be able to feel your body.
Yeah.
I think we'll just tell ourselves stories. I've been a master. I got to be careful not to tell myself a story to get what I want. And then you have to look at the reality of your results around your whole life. And that's going to tell the story, not your brain. So no, it's great.
Well, no, go ahead.
Oh, it's just cool to be able to chat with you. I think your answer is just so simple. It's like, how do you feel? Like, it's almost like, let me give you some smart doctor answer. How does it feel?
Right? How do you feel?
How do you feel? And I'm like, wow, what a great tool to have that's built in. It's an example of that. We know the answer is built in. We chase so many different answers. We look for so many experts. We pay so much money to find something else outside of ourselves when it's right there. And it just, listen, that's really cool.
Yeah, you do that. And it's even what was the other I've heard before? It's like, if you saw yourself on the street or whatever, would you want to be your friend? You know, kind of thing. How are you acting? And it really gets into, like you said, a lot of that self-evaluation of really being able to sit with yourself. You know, like you said, take that time to evaluate yourself. It was like, you know what, and it's okay. It's about giving yourself grace. It's like, okay, you know what? Maybe I have been kind of an asshole for, these past few weeks. And I need to, and that's okay. Admit to it.
But then you own that and just be okay with it. Yeah. You know, what's funny. This is the one thing I learned, and I've done this now it's got to be pushing 10 years. Is I go away on a retreat, or now I run my own retreats. And it is probably one of the most significant things I see in anyone's business, hands down in life, period, as you go away with a self-reflective mission. And sometimes it's guided, sometimes I'm guiding it, but there's this process of like, I need to leave my whole world and I need to create an environment where I can just check in. I feel like this should be something that every business school, every business, like my people that work for, I got 6 guys on my real estate side of things. I'm on my contract. It says, we expect you to take time off. We are here to support your business while you're gone. So we avoid burnout.
That's awesome.
And it's like, we have amazing culture because of it. If people could understand the power of it, like just to go away, like you obviously experienced that once together, we experienced that. You come back clear, you come back focused, you come back recharged. How important is that? Like, obviously I'm completely on the side of importance. What have you seen from a medical side? From going away? Is there, like, what happens? Why are we doing that?
I think, I still remember, I can't remember if we said this the first time when we had the podcast, but when I got back from Philip with y'all that first time, the first thing my wife said to me when I came in, she's like, what happened? Wow. And she goes, you're different. And I didn't even say anything. Right. Wow. And so when you look at it, because we're in such a culture of go, especially, with this US and, Canada. I mean, the Europeans tend to be, at least better with the patients, at least that I've seen,
take Sunday off and,
do some other things. But, what I'll give people, analogies, and I even have people start with, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, right? I mean, some people have to start slow with that, and it's fine. Yeah. But if you look at everything else in our life, why are there seasons, right? I mean, why are certain plants grow at a certain time? Why is there a fall when everything dies and comes back flourishing? So everything around us does it.
Yeah.
And so, every business, right? There's quarterly reviews, right? So a lot of different, business people say, like, every quarter you should go off and just, take off for a couple of days. Seriously. So I just kind of tell from try to look at it from even a common sense standpoint, that just our bodies genetically are not designed to go 1,000% all the time. Yeah. There is that time where, again, you, like I said, Ben, it's 8 hours, 7 hours, you can be fully recharged, and that's great. But if you started doing 5 hours every night, because you say, I'm gonna go extra, and it'll catch up. I'm not going to do those.
I've learned that 5 hours. Like, I get it. Like, I know exactly what happens. I become a bear. Yeah. I miss things. Yeah. I legitimately, it's probably the most negative effect I can have by shortening sleep. Yeah. And that's the same thing. You got a bunch of kids, you got life, you got lots going on, and then pressure shows up. And how you deal with pressure ties directly how much I sleep. Yeah. And so that's just understanding me, right? Like that, I used to be living off 5 hours, and I would always be a little bit edgy all the time, not thinking straight. But no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, but someone might need 10.
Yeah. So it's like anything. And even with people where I now work with patients who have multiple, several kids, or, each of them, working and stuff. And I tell them, it's not like while it'd be great if you can have a week-long retreat or whatever, but if it's even something where, okay, for the mom, the mom is going to go off for the day, and guess what, Dad? You're going to take care of it. If there's, whatever spouse there is or whatever it may be, one stays home and gets to deal with everything while the other gets to do whatever. And you take turns. You take turns sleeping in. you figure out ways where you both just talk about it and say, you know, because we talked about this last time about people having this guilt that they have to do everything.
Yep, totally.
And it's like, you know what, let's take this time where it doesn't have to be this. You know, there's this one doctor group that's they're awesome. They're just so good. They talk about how, just like you're saying, you need to get away. But, you know, they don't have kids, right? So there's the different aspect of saying, well, of course, you know, you can, because, you know, but it doesn't mean you have to do this whole week, 10 days, 2 week kind of thing. You could do
even a couple of days. Yeah, but that's burnout costs. I'm really big into this lately and thinking about burnout. And I'm sure you see it a lot. The burnout is really scary to me. Like, I get scared of it because I think burnout can take 90 days to even recover. And in those 90 days, what could have you done? So why not take a week here and there, and you never burn out?
You're absolutely right. And
so as a type A hardcore production guy, I'm thinking logically, holy shit, time off is actually faster. And you're starting to connect the dots. Like going, it's literally you know, the secret to being able to keep performing. Yeah, it's funny. It's in understanding relationships too. My wife, like I got a retreat going in Vegas with you know, 18, 20 business owners. I've got a cross country tour where I'm speaking in Vancouver, Edmonton, Toronto. And that's awesome. After that though, I've already talked to Renee, and it's okay, Renee, here's the thing. As of after I get back in April from doing this round of what I love to do, I said, I think you need to start thinking about taking a trip on your own. Like, we're talking about already January, and she goes, oh, awesome. So just even that understanding how to manage a relationship, knowing that I'm going to go hard, but the moment that Renee's going to be away from me all those days, it's not guilt, it's love. And understanding that, man, it's your turn to refresh now. Because when she comes back, she's freaking awesome. Like, it's not just her win. It's our win as a family.
Absolutely.
It's big. You're obviously a big believer in that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, even just tie back to what we're talking about with health and wellness and even longevity. About, you know, my view is to live long and die fast. You know, so if you want to do those kind of things and you want to be able to enjoy and be present, really enjoy life, that you have those things where it's, you know, hey, I'm gonna go take this time off and give, like you said, give that other person. It's gonna help with weight. It's gonna help with sleep. It's gonna help with everything, so that you just. You know, give that time to, you know, to rest.
It's awesome. Yeah. Recovery. Every athlete knows, like high performance athletes. Like, it's like when I started bodybuilding a little bit back in the day, makes it sound like I was totally bodybuilding. I wasn't really. I worked out with a really cool guy that was a champion or whatever. Like, everyone's gonna be like, he's kind of fat. What happened? But anyways, hey, I can still bounce these boobs. They used to be pegs. No, I'm just joking. I'm a sexy beast. Piss off. Okay. So man, that was ADD hardcore. So anyways, yeah, the recovery is really interesting. And I'm getting older, 39, and I had a couple injuries last year just by working out, like shoulders and different things. I'm like, what is going on? At both my shoulders had tennis elbow, both my knees are tired. And I'm like, what? I'm not even giving hard. I play a little hockey, doing 3 days a week working out. And I'm like, what is happening to me? And it was like this whole idea of like, I've been playing hard all my life. So I do feel like for years I didn't value myself. And in the last 5-10 years, I've really put some value on that. But I played hard, and I realized, wow, recovery is probably just as important than any working out, any activity. Can you talk about recovery and how that works in the body, and maybe your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, this honestly goes back to what we said about the, you know, customizing it for yourself. But, you know, it is about listening. And one of the things I tell people is, after you work out, and that's a whole, you know, research, really, you can work out 30, 45 minutes and get just as much benefit as somebody working an hour and a half, 2 hours. You don't have to be in the gym or do crazy amounts of stuff.
Great point.
But you should feel afterwards, you can feel obviously tired, right? If you did, you know, boxing or hockey, yeah, you're going to feel tired, right? That's the point. But you shouldn't feel like, I am just so run down. I don't even feel myself for the rest of the day. If you start doing that, then you know that's too much. That's the one thing. The other thing is, you know, rule of thumb, I tell patients, especially if I just want to get started again. I want to kind of go whatever, you know, even if it's, 20, 30 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week. Start there and see how you feel. You can always add, but if you go out, 7 days a week, that no athlete, no high-end athlete's going to be working out 7 days a week, that you can always go up versus going out, crazy amount, and then you hurt yourself. Then talk about a burnout. It's the same thing. You hurt yourself. You have a bad sprain, or God forbid, worse, you break something. You're out for months.
Sucks, man.
So it really is about scaling, and about just like one of the things I heard too is we gain weight correctly, we don't lose it correctly. We know it doesn't happen. We don't gain weight overnight, but we expect it tomorrow. We should be, and it's the same thing. I should be able to run. And I used to run 5 miles 10 years ago. I'm going to go run 5 miles. When did you run last? Oh, about 10 years ago. Well, again, let's take that. So it really is. And as we get older, we do need more recovery time, so it's just a matter of, the goal, I would say, 3 to 4 days a week, about an hour a day, just of things that you enjoy, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be the high intensity interval training. It doesn't have to be swimming. It doesn't have to be, if it's hiking, if it's cycling, if it's, some kind of body weight stuff for help bone development. It really gets back to, there's another paper talking about that a lot of things that are happening with people's brains and recovering and prevention of a lot of Alzheimer's or whatnot, is people are actually starting to go back to what they used to do when they were kids. I used to play hockey all the time. And all of a sudden they feel better. They want to go play more hockey, which in turn means they want to eat better. Well, I got to practice tomorrow with my friends. I got to get to sleep earlier, right?
Lots of water. Yeah.
So it really kind of gets into that recovery, and the mentality, again, going back to that mentality aspect of what you're doing, but it really is that recovery. And especially as we get older, it's just only my opinion, err on the side of caution, where it's like, if you feel you could do another round or another set or another 10 minutes, you can. But if there's that little mind here talking about listening to your body, like, should I? Just because you should doesn't, you could doesn't mean you should. So just because you can always do it the next time, right? There's always that time that it doesn't have to be all done today. Yeah. And so give yourself that chance to recuperate. Yeah, don't feel guilty for recuperating.
Man, I think about long game, short game a lot lately. And it just sounds like if we position ourselves like short game, you want to crush it. And it's almost everything in life is a hack and a shortcut right now, which, by the way, I love. But the thing is, there's a time for it. There's things like sometimes the long game is the biggest win you can have. Like even growing a business or whatever, find a client, take care of them, wait for a referral, take your time and grow those relationships, or build a business that's just like a sale. Like that's what I mean. Short game, long game, it's the same kind of thing, right? Like if we can just look at our health as a long game versus a short game. And it's like, I think there's a yin and a yang to everything. So I think we got a bit of short game and a bit of long game going at all times.
I agree.
Yeah. So you're an entrepreneur. Shifting topic here for a second.
Sure.
So you run your own practice, your own business, everything's, and you've had to do that. Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur at all?
Yeah. I've always, I actually, whether it's a good thing to have a title, my first business, my first way I made money was knocking on doors at 16 years old, mowing lawns, and
love it.
I got my first flight to the East Coast with the girl I was dating in high school by earning stuff like that. I didn't want to go in, and again, nothing against going to a grocery store and bagging groceries or doing whatever. I was like, I'm going to go and just do that. And so it was kind of always been in, I had a very brief stint in corporate world for not even about 2 years. I'm like, nah, this doesn't even make sense to me.
What were you doing? Just curious.
I was in computers,
computer sales.
Yeah. So, it was actually when I was saying how I left school and got burned out. That's a perfect example. Talk about how long it took me. Yeah. It took me 3 years.
I know, man. That's scary. That scares the shit out of me.
Burned.
You can't burn out.
Yeah. I was burned out, and I didn't, I just put so much damn pressure on myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how unclear is life in burnout? Like, how do we make decisions? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why it's like, you look at life differently. Like, oh, I'm sick of this. I'm like, holy shit, you're just blowing up your life for no reason. Or like, you just, so much about burnout is now you see life in a weird, twisted way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a really interesting, looking back, like anything, right? You can still get positive. And I'm glad everything, how it happened, because it made me even more appreciative of really what I was designed, what I was put on this earth to do. But it was funny you said about the whole 90 days, for me it was 3 years, and because I was sick of it. And so, but yeah, I and so that's where, my wife and I, she really does run the business. She does all the business, cool. all the paper, all that kind of stuff.
So
and so, yeah, we, it's definitely more positive than negative as far as, being an entrepreneur and always having the, so many different things, so many ideas going on, all these different aspects of the practice, which is, like anything, it's 90% good, right? Yeah. There's, like I said, there's the crap of business that you try to, thankfully she does most of those things.
Yeah. If you can't do it, you got to outsource it. That's part of being a business owner. You really just got to put it into someone else's hands. And if you can't afford it, you can't afford not to in some levels. Cause you're just going to, if you do it, you probably mess it up and then it's fixing it or burnout. Yeah, exactly. Doing it all is really a big mistake. So let's ask a few other questions here. Sure. You say you do virtual meetings with people. You're telling me that it's pretty really effective, kind of your meeting. You could literally meet with someone using this beautiful technology that we're using right now. You can look at someone's tongue, their eyes, and like, give me an example of what you go through to do like a first assessment, and what are the things that you're finding just by looking at us as patients?
As one of my other mentors said, the body will tell you everything as long as you're listening, right? I mean, and there's the beauty of also things like, EKGs and Dopplers and stuff, because not that just because you're symptom free doesn't mean you're healthy either, right? Yeah, that's a whole other, there really is 2 points, but to get started, especially where, we chat about, some places it's not always easy to get blood tests and lab tests. So let's start with what we know. Yeah. And so from a virtual aspect, by all means, I tell patients, if you can have somebody close to you to touch you, feel you, do your blood pressure, I think that's paramount. But as far as what we can do here, especially with all the natural therapies that I do, there's a lot you can do. So if from the big standpoint is asking a lot of really good questions, and it doesn't have to be a lot of them, but hey, do you wake up when you're, are you tired when you wake up? Are you tired around 2 o'clock? Do you crave salts? Do you crave sweets? How do you skip, can't remember people's names? Do you wake up in pain? Do you poop once a day, once a week? And, because I learned early on, you can't say, are you regular? Oh yeah, I'm regular. I poop once a week. That's not, it's regular.
I'm like, where's that food going?
It's crazy, right? And so there's that point. So there's just a lot of questions. Cool. And there's even a lot of body stuff. Like, for instance, if I ask you, Ben, it's like, oh, so how's your marriage with Renee? And you're like, you start doing this. Well, there's a lot
rubbing
going
your face.
on.
Yeah.
There's emotional points that are related on the forehead. So
what is that? Let's talk about that. That's interesting. Sure. So you say what's going on with my marriage, and I'll start rubbing my head. What's the read you get on that?
Yeah. Again, in certain therapies, I mean, there's these different points right in the middle of the forehead, right in the middle of the eyebrows, called neurovascular points that are related in applied kinesiology and whatnot that can be related to emotional points. And again, I'm not going to say, oh, Ben, I guess you're depressed because that's not what I mean.
It's a
window. It's a window to say, okay, well, there's probably some stress going on. And I would say, hey, so tell me more about that. What's kind of going on? It's okay. It's fine. I'm fine. And sometimes you can push a little more. Sometimes you can't, right? Yeah. And say, well, how is it? How long you been married? What's going on? And I always tell patients, by all means, I'm going to ask you some stuff. If you feel uncomfortable and you don't want to tell me something, just say, I don't want to talk about it. Done. Right? Yeah. So you just kind of go into that. If you start to see, okay, well, there's that emotional aspect, now I'm going to go right into, so what's your diet like? every night after I get done talking with my wife, because we're upset about stuff, I go and eat a whole pint of ice cream. How are you sleeping? Well, I have really hard time going to sleep. What's going on? And so you just kind of, you go with where the person is leading you, and so oftentimes it's there's a lot of information. You get other people. I mean, my practice is probably 80% female. I think females have a much better idea of their bodies than us guys. We're doing better, but at times when I have people, it's like they just kind of shut off, and it's like that's fine. We can deal with what we can on that sense. So there's the question. Then the aspect is looking at the overall body. So there's face analysis, there's tongue analysis. A lot of it comes from a lot of acupuncture, looking at the eyes, iridology. So, different, you stick out your tongue, there's some whiteness, some cracks. It could be some B vitamin stuff. There could be some, what's called candida, some yeast. There's a little test you can do at home, a little spit test. Let me look, bring your eye thing, your eyes down, see if there's some paleness. It could mean anemia. Looking again, any kind of areas that there's some acne, there's some certain areas that could be related to certain aspects of of certain, like in here, like a lot of redness could
beside
be
your nose.
Okay. It could be stomach related. Here it could be sexual organs. Here it could be thyroid. So it's just different windows. Creases in the ear possibly could mean there's some heart things going on. So
cool.
Just looking, we're just
just indicators. It's just little indicators, like symptoms in a way. Like, what is that? It's just like, what should I keep looking there?
Exactly.
Okay.
Cool. And you say, for instance, like this with the redness in here. So how do you what's going on? Yeah, I'm really bloated a lot. Okay. Look at your tongue. It's really white. There's probably some stomach stuff going on. Do you crave any sweets? Yeah, I do. Or I don't digest meat well. I just don't even want to look at meat. You already started painting a picture with going to say, okay, well, let's look at some digestive support from some herbs or some bitters or some things like that. And then again, well, you've talked about the crease in your ear, any history of heart disease. Well, my father died of a heart attack. Okay, well, have you had a Doppler done? EKG done recently? Have you had a cardiologist? And so there's ways to look at it too, where, I'm not saying you have anything going on. I'm just saying there's possibilities. Why don't we just rule it out just to make sure that, God forbid, it's my obligation that if I even have an inkling of whether it's even, sometimes it's a gut feeling. Like, I'm not even getting them, but just by what you're talking about or whatever, that I just feel I'm going to document this and tell the patient, I think you should do this, because what if, and it's happened, like, holy crap, I went and got this done. And, two of my, arteries are, 60% clogged right now. And I wasn't having any symptoms, but you told me, because I was going up and down the stairs, I was breathing through. I thought it was just because I was fat and I didn't want to, I wasn't working out a lot. Well, so it really is.
So cool. It's really cool.
It's
really cool. It's almost like everyone needs to do that. Just even have have a light shine on them, have that consultation. I think it's so important.
Well, and it's good. I mean, what I try to do is, I think right now the average office visit for a family, at least here in the States, is like about 4 to 5 minutes, I think is what it is. And they're just so busy, they've no disrespect. They have a lot to do. So with me, I charge by the hour. So I spend a lot of time with them. And it's like, hey, okay, well, now you've got your wellness checkup coming up with your doctor in a month. Go get these tests done, because we've spent an hour and a half. Go get this done. Go look at this.
And then bring it back. Yeah.
And then we can see
it's true consulting. It's very cool. It's like having you'd be like having a doctor on call for a consultant.
Exactly.
Just for expert advice at all times. Like, I think it's a amazing business. I don't know how, is this a thing? Like, to have someone did you carve out a new business model?
There are doctors. They're, more, if you call it more of a concierge, medicine kind of thing. And, it's just where, my intention is, somebody might just see me one time. That might be our only reason to meet on this earth. This is one time.
Yeah.
Because I might need to refer them to other doctors, or they might use me exclusively, or they might use me with other doctors. My intention and my point is to make sure I do every possible thing that they need in an unbiased manner. Of course I want you to work with me because I just happen to have this thing and I'm going to sell and make a lot of money. I don't like that. And it's like, what is it that you need? Because, and it's happened. I've had patients only see me once, and I hear a few years later, I'm glad I talked to you because this, was something that needed to be addressed. And, that's not what I do. So my goal is, is just to really be that listener and to really say, okay, really use what's called differential diagnosis. What's really going on? What's kind of happening? Am I the best fit for you? Maybe. I absolutely know without a doubt we'll do something for your health. Absolutely. It might be something you might think is 2%, right? That could end up, saving your life. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I love it. So who are you not for, Scott?
Who am I not for?
Yeah, like I know people that are not for me. They're the people that just want to make $1 million and not look within themselves.
Oh, I see.
Those guys can go and take their journey and get to the top and then talk to me after. Or live successfully, and that's fine too. But who are the people that are not for you?
If they say, I've gone to all these different doctors, I don't want to change my diet. I've had this, I don't really want to do, but can you just give me something? Can you just give me something to make it better? And I'm like, we're not even on the same realm, and again, maybe there is something, but that's, to understand is like, I need to feel better. I've been feeling like shit for years.
So would you say quick fixers?
Yeah. It's just, we'll change something in 30 days, something. It might be, you might feel worse, because that could be part of the process, but, people that, so I'm going to, so they'll say whatever, I think this is what I think you should do. And I'm like, well, then why are you talking to me?
Oh, they're telling you this is what
and they've used a lot of Dr. Google and I love talking with, right?
Yeah.
I want people to come and say, I've been researching this. I don't know what the hell to do. Or I'm thinking, is this a good idea? Well, maybe. But if it's something like, I know you're saying I should do this, but I really don't want to do it. And I think I should, can we just do this instead? And like, well, why go do all the stuff on your own, because it's just not going to work. If it's something where we can both have a conversation mutually, it's like, hey, I don't know what, if I should do this, should I go to, let's check it out. Let's see what's possible. And let's understand that let's take it step by step. Let's be proactive. And I also understand, some of the ones too, is like, I'm feeling good and I just don't want to feel, I don't ever want to feel bad. What do you have? That's like, you figured it out. You figured it out, and just understanding that, it's not going to happen overnight, but the ones, the overnight, the quick fix, can you just, or if I tell patients, I really try to be simple with, not to give patients a ton of different supplements or herbs. I really want to be specific. But if I say like, there's like 3 different things, like, oh, there's just no way I can do that. Then it's just going to be much more problematic, because I'm really trying to be.
You're going to fight them, right? Like I can't work with someone on the mentoring and coaching side that's not going to be willing to let me help them.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
You can't. Like it's literally going to be. I used to think, I can help this person. Just probably we all kind of go through that, and then you go into a journey with someone. You're like, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
And you're forcing it.
I've even had to do to patients before. I'll stop and say, so why exactly are you here? What is it?
Yeah.
What is it that I can do for you? Because, maybe it's because I was in practice in New York for so long. It's like, because it sounds like to me, I'm not gonna be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And if that's okay, you can leave right now. I totally respect that. But if I need to figure this out, because I don't, I don't understand anything at all. You gotta set the stage, just that both that, Ben, you're wonderful. I think I'm a pretty decent doctor, but there's been people that have said, I just decide not to work with me, because
it's totally cool. You gotta trust that, man. You gotta trust that. So here's a question. We're getting closer to the end here. I had a question. Just a second. It's not a good question. Not a good question. No.
You can ask me whatever.
Okay, I got it. So the question was this: if you had a genie in a bottle, not Christina Aguilera, like just like a genie that could wish you a wish and snap your fingers, something directly tied to your life, what would it be? because you want world peace.
You always do good. Like the last time too, you did some really good ones. God, genie in a bottle. One thing I'd say. God, that's such a good question. You always do this. I've no idea he's ever asked you that. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it's like the first thing that came to my head was just like, just a gift of just being here. Like, I even try. I mean, I do a lot with patients, but I'd like to not my mind spinning and not be so many different places where it's like, I have that wow. wish of like literally just being right here and listening to the wind or being with my family or being just solely with the patient, whatever it is. But like, I guess that would be my wish. Cause I don't want to know when I die. I don't want to,
yeah, that would suck.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to even say, I mean, yeah, have,
millions
have
or
no,
money,
have no health issues, but
forever.
I mean,
yeah.
Then you wouldn't appreciate anything. I mean, I don't know. That was.
I like that. It just shows where your heart is at. It shows that it actually shows a little bit of inside conflict. It shows a little bit of who you are. Yeah. It's like the racing mind and always going. And
we're not perfect.
No, this is why it's so cool. That's why you're on the show. That's why we're friends. And it's like, because we're real. And I think that's how you write your website. And like, I think that's what makes us attractive, to be honest, because it also makes people feel safe. Because if we've made it, then that's a very intimidating place to be for people. So I think
I'm up here and you're down there. I don't like that.
Totally. Okay, man. Well, I just want to say thank you very much for being on the show again.
Absolutely,
Scott.
Ben.
It is like I had so many things we could break down. Depression. We could break down how the body works with that. We could break down so many different things. But obviously we have some limited time. So thank you again so much, Scott, for being on the show. And we may have to do this again and again and again.
I'm here for you, Ben. I appreciate it.
Okay. Awesome, man. Cheers.
All right.